You wait ages for a breakthrough, and then, suddenly, two come along at once. Just weeks after grinding through Russia's first line of defense in the south, the Ukrainians have fought their way through more lines in the east. Andrivka and Klishchivka, two strategically important towns to the south of Bakhmut, have now been recaptured by Kiev's men. In the process, they claim to have surrounded and destroyed some of Russia's most elite units and killed 4 senior officers. That leaves Putin's generals dangerously short on skilled men and puts Ukrainian artillery within easy reach of Bakhmut so they can pick off even more of them over winter. This is the story of how Ukraine's gamble to bleed the Russian army dry in Bakhmut is paying off dividends, and what that means for the war elsewhere. This is the story of the breakthrough near Bakhmut. Almost as soon as Yevgeny Prigozhin declared victory in Bakhmut back in May, Ukraine launched its counterattack. Unlike in the south, where the Russians had months to prepare by digging trenches and laying mines, this rapid assault caught them off guard. Spearheaded by soldiers of Ukraine's feared 3rd Assault Brigade, Kiev's men made quick progress to the north and south of the city. Bakhmut risked being caught in a pincer, but having expended so much blood and sweat to capture it, Putin's generals could not retreat. Instead, they were forced to throw large numbers of VDV paratroopers, their most elite men, onto the front lines to stop the advance. By the end of July, analysts from the Institute of the Study of War believe 2 of Russia's 4 VDV divisions and 3 of their 4 brigades were defending the city. The move appeared to work. Ukraine's march slowed to a crawl and then stopped entirely. But this was exactly what Kiev's commanders wanted the Russians to do. Tying up the paratroopers in Bakhmut meant they would not be able to thwart Ukraine's other and far more important counterattacks in the south. As Ukraine's southern offensive began gathering steam in late August, Russian commanders were forced to redeploy paratroopers from the east to stop them. But that created a weak spot that led to the breakthrough near Bakhmut. Andrivka and then Klishchivka were recaptured earlier this week, with mastermind General Alexander Syrsky revealing Russian troops were massacred in the process. Drone footage captured desperate commanders shelling their own men in an attempt to drive the Ukrainians back, while footage from the ground showed Kiev's men advancing through a scorched landscape littered with Russian bodies. General Syrsky said Russia's 31st and 83rd paratrooper brigades were so badly mauled that they can no longer fight. Meanwhile, the 3rd Assault Brigade claimed to have surrounded and destroyed Russia's 72nd Motor Rifle Brigade. 4 senior officers, including 1 colonel and 1 major, are thought to have died in the fighting. The loss was so severe that the 72nd's old commander has hit out, saying his men were betrayed and thrown into combat without proper training or equipment. And General Syrsky says the Russians have since lost even more men trying to recapture the 2 towns to no avail. Worse still, Russia also failed to prevent the Ukrainians from breaking through in the south, where they are now advancing toward Crimea. All of which bodes well for Ukraine's war effort as the winter approaches. First, capturing Klishchivka gives Kiev's men command of high ground that overlooks Bakhmut, where more of Russia's best men are dug in. That means their artillery gunners can spend the long, dark months picking these men off and weakening Russia's army even further. Second, Ukrainian commanders hope the 2 settlements will provide a springboard from which they can complete the pincer around Bakhmut and eventually retake the city. And lastly, it will continue to chew up Russian reinforcements that commanders would no doubt love to use to protect Crimea. Kirilo Budanov, head of Ukraine's military intelligence, believes the situation is so bad that Russia has no more reinforcements left. When Kiev's commanders made the decision to dig in and defend Bakhmut late last year, they came in for plenty of criticism. The town holds huge propaganda value for Putin, but is otherwise of little importance, and it did not seem worth spilling so much blood over. But now, almost a year later, the gamble is paying off. The Wagner Group, which was charged with taking Bakhmut in the first place, has all but vanished, and leader Yevgeny Prigozhin is dead. Russia's elite paratrooper units, which took over from Wagner, have broken themselves trying to hold the city and are now limping out of the fight. Putin's generals have no more men to replace them with, and so are forced to pull troops off front lines elsewhere, creating gaps for Ukraine to exploit. And that could make all the difference to the success of Ukraine's counteroffensive, the fate of their country, and the fate of Putin's regime. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos like this.